All right, horror fans. Once again, it is me, the horror Mizumani G. Once again, I brought my good friend Mark, the Movie Man. He's back on the channel. It's been a while since we had Mark on the channel, and tonight we're going to talk about perhaps one of Jordan Peele's good films, not great films to me, but yeah, I'm pretty sure Mark will have a different take on it. But we're
Mm.
going to talk about Nope, and I will warn you guys: if you have not seen Nope, turn this off, go watch Nope, and then come back to watch the replay because Mark and I will be talking about spoilers and about this one. First of all, Mark, welcome to the channel. How you feeling?
I'm feeling good. Happy to be back. Always fun to talk horror films with the horror miser. So glad to be here. Definitely.
I see.
Yeah.
So, obviously, go on ahead, Mark. What is your overall take on Nope, and what did you actually enjoy about the film?
Oh, I dug it. I mentioned in my review that there's very few modern horror films that actually like make me feel at least a little tense or a
Hmm.
little bit on edge and maybe even a little bit scared. I won't say like Frady Cat scared, but just kind of that uneasiness. And Nope did that for me in a few of those scenes. There is some very effective horror scenes in here, some tension. And I enjoyed it. I still enjoy I what I really enjoyed was that he took uh a basic concept, a basic alien concept we've seen before, and especially when you see it in the trailer,
Hmm.
and he spun it around a bit. He gave it a little extra flair that I didn't expect, and I really enjoyed, especially when you get to that really wild ending.
Oh yes.
Um, you know, so overall, I I will say it's not as tension filled or scary as Get Out or Us, but at the same time, it still was a lot of fun and one of the better horror films to come out in recent years, modern horror films.
Hmm.
I had fun with it. I agree. It's out of his three that he's done so far, it's not in the top, but that's like saying, well, Alfred Hitchcock's film, this one just wasn't that good as the other. It's still good. It's still like, you're eating pie, right? And the apple pie may not be as good as the coconut cream pie, but it's still good. You're still enjoying it.
Hmm.
And I think with this, I enjoyed it quite a bit too. There were a couple head scratch moments where I was kind of curious on where he went with it, but overall, no, I was happy with it. I was happy that I enjoyed it as much as I did.
Yeah, I see Simon is once again time to join us. Hey, Simon, glad you can join us. Simon's one of my all-time supporters here on the channel. Yeah, I have to agree. It's definitely a different take on the alien scene because when we first saw the previews or the trailers, the first part of the trailers, we knew that there was something in the sky, but we really didn't know what it was. And then
Right.
when the second trailers come out, you see the little spaceship saucer, and I said, well, I don't think that he is going to just do another alien. He's got to do something. And then when we see it, damn, it is an actual twist on the alien culture. Hey, what's up, Thomas? He said, I watched Snow for the first time last night. Thought it was good. Definitely not my favorite of the three, but it was enjoyable. Yes, yeah, it's not as good as Us or Get Out, but it's still a very decent horror film. It'll probably be on my top 10 horror list by the time we get to the end of the year. But you really got to give Jordan Peele credit because, it's a basic alien setup story that we've seen plenty of times before. But when he throws that twist in there, and it's like, holy shit, wow, I wouldn't expect it neither. And then when a writer does something, when a filmmaker does something that I don't expect, that's good. I got to give him props for doing it. And I think another aspect of this film is the great performances by Daniel Kaluuya and Kiki Palmer. I think they really, especially Kiki Palmer, she really carried the film.
Yeah. Oh no, both Daniel and Kiki were wonderful in this film.
Mm.
They felt like brother and sister. A little bit more. It's a little bit more nuanced and subtle performance from Daniel than we're used to. I mean,
Hmm.
especially after seeing Judas and the Black Messiah, which I love. I love that movie. Oh man, it's a more subtle performance by him, but it still is a really good. They played off each other very well.
Hmm.
The one thing I love about Peele's films is he's still making, yeah, they're familiar territory, but he's also giving them his own identity, and this still felt like a Jordan Peele film.
Yes.
uh you know uh and that's what I like, is that I'd rather have more horror films like this than another Scream or Halloween. I'll take big screen horror from Jordan Peele, the way what he's been cranking out so far, any day, over another IP, you
Hmm.
know, because you can tell he loves horror. He's a fan of horror, and he knows what he's making. But he's committed to it, and he really brings us some interesting stories, even if they're familiar.
Hmm. Yeah, it kind of, because like it's crazy when the film begins, and then we see the chimpanzee on the sap, and he's got blood all over him, and we see the dead bodies all over the place. I'm like, what in the world? Why are we starting this? Yeah. What do you thought about how that movie began? Because I couldn't figure out what aspect it. I mean, it comes into play later on, but what do you thought about that opening scene?
Oh no, it was a great opening scene, and he does that, I think, specifically because to buck your expectation, because you've seen the last final trailer. A lot of people, whether or not you voluntarily or involuntarily saw it in the theater, so you saw the alien spacecraft, and so you open up, yeah, with this monkey scene. And I didn't mind this subplot and how it worked into the guy
Hmm.
running the park, the theme park, and then later on you find out how he's kind of responsible for
Hmm.
why
Everything is
we
why is everything going on?
yeah, why everything's going on. And I think, if anything, that part was just a little bit weak. I shouldn't say weak. I should say he really throws it on the audience to kind of figure out the motivation for
Hmm.
uh I forgot his character name offhand. Uh
Biggest jupe.
Juke's
Yeah.
character, yeah.
Hmm.
Juke's character and his motivation for why he thought he could control things, was, and the whole monkey setup was kind of just to show that he thought he could control things, and he was doing this to kind of take care of some inner demons he was still carrying around.
Hmm.
But you really have to watch it and think. And I don't mind horror films that make you think at all. Don't get me wrong, I love it. But I will say, out of the storytelling, you really have to kind of piece together what the actual relevance of the monkey. And I was surprised we came back to it as much as we did.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, yeah, because after we get to that scene, we get to see obviously we get to see um OJ, and then his father
Mhm.
Otis, played by the great character actor Keith David.
Oh
And
yes, it was great seeing Keith. I want more Keith. I'm like, Keith shows up, and I'm like, yes, he's gonna be in here. And then he gets hit with the shrapnel, and I'm like, oh
Mhm.
no, no, come on, we gotta have more Keith David. I
uh,
love
and
Keith.
another interesting aspect of the film, and I think Jordan Peele does this on purpose,
Hmm.
always referencing something what an African American does in the industry, and for him to be able to bring that aspect. I don't know if it's a fictional thing or not, but the fact that we find out that their ancestor wind up being one of the best known trainers for horses and animals in Hollywood
Hmm.
pictures, and they're the only one that the company that does it. So I thought it was a great aspect to begin the film, and of course, obviously, we get to see the bad side of Hollywood. He's trying to tell these people what to do and not to do, but yet they're typically ignoring him.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you could tell he was making a statement about Hollywood right there.
Mm,
And also a statement about Hollywood even through Kiki, because Kiki is just the exact opposite end of the spectrum to OJ.
hmm.
It was like OJ is really like an introvert, and he's really not good at the public speaking, while she's over exaggerated.
Hmm.
Which is also, either they ignore him, or they're put off by her, and
Hmm.
her very straightforwardness, and just how abrupt she is. So, um, Yeah, I just saw the comments there. There's a lot of things better this year than the Firestarter remake, but definitely Nope is definitely
Oh yes.
just leaps and bounds above,
Oh yeah, not to go off topic, but
no.
you saw the Firestar remake, right?
I paid money to go see that.
Oh,
I I paid money to see that. And I was
oh,
like,
I feel your pain.
"Ooh," I was like, okay, maybe I should have waited to streaming. It probably would have looked better on the small screen because
No,
yeah,
it's like I mean, trust me. Again, I understand remakes are going to get made because that's what Hollywood does right now. You know, they got the IP is now the thing they're talking about now
it's
is keeping the IP
it's
together
yeah.
so you don't lose it. And I understand that they felt as though it was time, but that was oh boy, that's how you not
No.
make a remake.
No, it isn't at all. So
Mm,
yeah, I've Nope was such a refreshing change from that after seeing that film.
mm,
But no, I it's interesting with the statements that he makes in these films because you know one of what I like the way Jordan Peele asked for a refund. Yeah, I should have. The one thing that is interesting about Peele's films and in Nope, especially the same way is he makes his statements. He lets his voice be heard. He says what he wants to say, but he does it in just a way to where it's not overly preachy
hmm.
or off-putting. It feels natural for within the world of the film.
Yes.
And I that's what I love about that. He finds that nice balance to where he's making statements that he wants to make, especially about the situations today that many people of color and such are facing in that. But he does it in such a way to where it doesn't feel like it's an attack on anybody. He's just presenting the situations. He does it in a very
Yeah. Very.
very nuanced way.
Hmm.
So and I that's what I like quite a bit, and I think that's shows his talent. He's a who would have thought when you see Jordan Peele the comedy, that he's cranked out three really good modern horror films.
Hmm. Yeah, he's. I think he's done a very decent job, and in all the projects that he's done right now, I haven't seen any of this how he hosts the Twilight Zone on Showtime. I haven't seen that one, but I heard he does a pretty good job on it.
I heard he did very well in it. It's a shame that didn't keep going, but I heard he was very good in it. I didn't get to see it, but our friend Andrew Shearer saw it and he really enjoyed it quite a bit.
Hmm.
And in this film, this kind of has that Twilight Zone feel
Oh
to it.
yes.
This is more of like a Twilight Zone episode than his previous two, in that it's a little more campy
Hmm.
than his previous two, but at the same time, again, you could tell he's just a lover of horror and he wanted to make a little bit campy alien horror film. And whoever he got, I forgot the name of the cinematographer he had for this film, but damn,
I know,
it,
yeah, it was did a fantastic job because it's one of
oh,
the things I liked about it because you get to see the isolation shots between the ranch and the carnival,
mm-hmm,
and there's really nothing else out there other than those two places out there, and they do a great job of capturing it. You know how both places are isolated, and there's really no other people there other than OJ, Kiki, and then of course obviously we get Angel Torres, and then
mm-hmm,
Jupe's character later on, and then that's it.
right.
And I think he does a great job on that. Obviously, speaking of that, we get to see the part where Kiki is trying to get OJ to sell the ranch, and he wants to keep it because he wants to continue his father's legacy. I thought that was a decent play between the two characters. Really shows
Mm-hmm.
the separation between the two.
Yeah, well, and not only that, after his father died, it's 6 months later, we learned that
Mm,
he actually had to sell some of the horses and he was
mm.
trying to get them back from Juke. Because, yeah, he still wants to carry on the ranch, and Kiki wants to be an actress.
Oh
She
yeah.
wants to, yeah, she wants to be in Hollywood. She is really trying to be Hollywood.
Mm.
And so that's where they're kind of two opposites. And I like that as well. We don't while it's again another common story, I still like the dynamic, and it's really all down to the two performers. They really just really what you feel for these characters. You don't want anything bad to happen to them. And even though they're polar opposites, and it's just they are very talented folks, and it was really great to see them play off each other so well, and it helps cement this film and help ground this film, especially OJ character. The OJ character, if all of them were like our electronics techie geek squad guy,
Mhm.
you really could take this film too seriously. But you know, Daniel really helps. His character really helps ground the film from being the ridiculous alien film to being rather anxious alien film in parts.
Yeah, because when they first find when the power goes out, and then the
Mm-hmm.
next thing you know, he sees the flying saucer flying above in between the clouds, and they start. He's like, wait a minute. Is that what I thought I saw? And then, of course, we finally get the typical thing that Kiki believes. It's like, hey, we can get a shot of this. We can get rich.
Of course, because that's the internet age. They can get rich off of it. Yeah.
And I like her emphasizing we got to get the Oprah shot because whether it's the X Files or even the Project Blue books or any other of these UFO specials, we always
Mhm.
see this grainy, can't see, blurry shot, whether it's a picture of Bigfoot or the Yeti or Sasquatch or anything like that. We never actually get to see anything definitive. It's always like
Mhm.
that. So it was decent how they tried their best to try to get the Oprah shot.
especially later on when the TMZ guy shows up, which
No, yes.
that guy, I was just like, really, really. But again, that's George. That was him making a statement about
I know. Yeah,
TMZ,
he's
and
making a statement. I said, "Oh, he's making fun of TMZ."
well,
uh, just,
just content creators in general. I mean,
uh,
he was just, but definitely TMZ. He was making,
I
he was
mean,
taking shots
look,
fired at
as
them.
much as I enjoy making my YouTube videos, I'm not trying. I'm not that desperate or that or that crazy trying to get some views, trying to get shot up a UFO.
You're not walking around with a silver helmet with a camera lens strapped to your one eye.
No,
What?
no. I don't need the views that bad.
And then while you're laying on the ground and the alien's trying to suck you up into
No, and he's still
the
trying.
air, you're still saying, "Where's the camera? Get me the shot. I want to get the shot."
Uh, oh man, yeah. Because I was when that just hit me when he said that, and I'm busy cracking up, and Kelly's telling me, "What is so funny? He's gonna die." I said that's Jordan Peele making a rub at TMZ and other content creators who will do anything just to get the shot. You
Just to
know,
get the shot. Yeah, just to get something to get popular.
uh,
Even at that point, OJ's just shaking his head like, man, he was gonna help him. He's like, "Where's my camera? Get the shot." He's like, "Forget you."
and the hell of you, he's like, you
Hell with
crazy.
you.
I mean, it's just as bad as Logan Paul going to that
Mm.
place in Japan where the people have committed suicide,
Oh yeah.
and and it's like, come on, dude, you can't be that desperate. You already have over 1 million subscribers. You get a whole bunch of views. You don't need to do something that desperate to continue. No,
No,
no.
no, you don't have to. It just,
Mm.
and yeah, I loved that character is making a statement about that. And again, that's what we're seeing now from Jordan is how he makes these statements. He's not afraid to get a little ridiculous, but
Mhm.
at the same time, it still has a purpose. It's not necessarily just thrown in there at random. It's just for a gimmick. I mean, they set it up beforehand where the whole the whole audience at the um when Juke was saying that he could control the alien,
Mhm.
which he couldn't, and the whole audience disappears. They actually get on the news in that. So he sets it up enough to where it's not just this guy just shows up at random. That the area's been on the news about weird happenings. So he does have a good setup there, I
Mhm.
think.
So we finally get Angel Torres. He comes into the play, and then he helps set them up. I actually liked his character. What you thought about? I forgot the guy who plays him. What do you thought about his performance?
Oh, I loved it. I mean, it's what you wanted. He's the alien crazy guy, and you needed the one person in there. Like I said, because you had OJ kind of grounding the story, and then you had Kiki who is in it, to get the shot, but that's all her motivation is. And then you've got this guy who loves aliens, who watches Ancient Aliens, who has no problems bringing camera equipment out to set it up to try to catch aliens. You know, and you needed him. You needed him in here to be the guy to give information for folks who may not be that familiar with the UFO craze. So you needed at least one in here. And I enjoyed his performance overall. He was a little bit cartoony,
Mhm.
but I think he was supposed to. It did take me out of it, but he's
Yeah,
definitely more cartoony.
yeah, he was pretty good. Hey, Katie. Yeah, Katie. Yes, yeah, she's got her channel. I was actually on her channel the other night. We were making predictions about Halloween kill ends and
Uh,
Jeepers Creepers.
uh,
You're not looking for you're not looking for Halloween ends.
I wish Evil did die that night. I'm like, oh. No offense. The problem is I love Jamie Lee Curtis. That's why I keep going into the films, is because I love Jamie Lee Curtis. I think she's a great actress. She's been in so many fun movies, so many great movies. And then I saw that trailer and I'm just like, wait, what? And then I looked up and I go, what do you mean 4 years later? What the hell? That's why I'll watch Nope again before, I mean, I'm going to go see it because as horror fans, we're gluttons for punishment, and we'll go to any horror movie on the big screen. And then we'll come out of it going, wow, I paid money for that. And then the next horror film will come out and you go, oh, I better go see it. And you go see it. And you go, wow, I paid money for that.
And then not
Yeah.
not to go off topic, but I told this on when I was on Katie's channel, and I'll say it
Yeah.
again. If you can get uh, the producers to actually do something that they never done in any of the James Bond films and actually kill off James Bond,
Mm-hmm.
then you can kill off Michael Myers.
Yeah.
It can be
Yeah.
done.
Well, it can be. I mean, but not now because he's now supernatural. I guess I don't know that ending of that movie, that whole movie. Our a filmmaker and critic, and he's been on my show. Michael, his name happens to be Michael Vyers. No lie, he loved Halloween Kills, and he was trying to convince me how good the film was, and we had back and forth, and let's just say he put up some pretty good arguments, but no, that film really just no.
To me it was, and this is the problem when you have trilogies. You have the second movie in a trilogy has to be just as good as the first one, but good enough to sustain it as its own, and then leave you wanting to end. And unfortunately, Halloween Kills didn't do that for me. I thought it was the most brutal I've seen Michael since Rob Zombie's Halloween 2, which is good. You get some decent kills in there, but I felt there are certain aspects of the film that didn't work. We didn't need
No.
to have that mob scene and the other guy from the that escaped from the mental institution. We didn't need him. It kind of took me out of the film at all. But it, like I said, it just seemed a lot of filler, and I definitely did not like that third act of the film where everyone's beating up Michael, which is something I'm pretty sure that I believe David and Danny thought people wanted to see. But if you're going to do that, make it believable.
Well, kill him. Like kill. They all just waited. I'm like, this dude is Michael Myers, and they're beating the crap out of him. And then someone stops. I'm like, no, you don't keep going until that head is an eggshell. And that's why I think I would watch 10 Nopes before watching another, even though Halloween's been around so long,
Mhm.
and it's a classic, icon in that. I'll take Nope And I'll take, those type of horror films over that, because you got someone that, yes, is still touching the nostalgia bug, as in you can see the classic horror influences, but it's still their own film. They aren't trying to remake the magic. They're still doing their own thing. And Jordan Peele did that, with this film. Even when you get you get the amusement park, the whole thing there. And I think he's making a little statement about commercialism at an amusement park.
Oh yeah, yeah. I think one of the more interesting aspects, as we get to, once they're trying to get the shot, and then all of a sudden we
Yeah.
get this interlude where Jupe is thinking back to the time when the monkey went wild and just started killing everybody.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm looking, I say, wait a minute, why are we back to the monkey again? It's like, and this time we get to see the whole entire thing. He just,
Right.
for some reason, he just went off and he started killing everybody.
Well, the
And then,
the the balloon startled him. My son noticed that. He thought maybe he and I debate, and I got to watch it again. That there were a lot of audience members killed. I'm like, I'm not sure if there were a lot of audience members killed, but he said, no, you see bodies in there. I'm like, that's true. And he's kind of wondering how the monkey was able to get away with killing so many people. And I'm like, have you seen Shakma? Really? Come on. But yeah, we get to see the whole scene, and then we get to see the almost fist bump between Jupe and the
Gordy,
monkey, yeah, and
yeah.
Gordy. And that's where I was like, that's the part that he relies on the audience to try to put the pieces together the biggest, is
Mhm.
that, because when we get that, it's his interaction with, yeah, exactly. It's compared to the alien and the horse, in that,
Mhm.
each one has their own different motivations and how they interact with the people. The horses, run. They're like, screw this. They're like, and each one, had its motivation for killing. The monkey had his motivation because he got triggered by, no pun intended, by
Mhm.
the balloon going off, and a number of balloons, and he freaked. The horse runs after it, the light goes down, and it senses the alien out there, and then the alien has his motivation for killing, which is eating,
Yeah,
just a big old eating machine.
yeah, yeah.
um
Because then we get to the point, then we find out that it's not just an alien chip; it's actually
it's an
uh
alien.
it's actually an alien in the shape of a ship. And I thought, wow, this is decent, because next thing you know, because he's out there telling the audience what he thinks is
Mhm.
going to happen, and we got these aliens. I'm gonna control it with the horses, and of course the horse like, I ain't moving, fuck that shit, I ain't moving. And next thing you know, the alien doesn't come where it's supposed to come, and then it decides to say, you know what, I'm gonna come now, and he comes the other way. Next thing you know, he sucks all the people up, and I'm like, wait a minute. And I said to myself, this thing's alive. It's not an alien ship.
Yeah.
It's an alien in the shape of a ship. I said, wow, this is decent.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
it was great. And yeah, he was about to get the horse to get abducted, but the horse wasn't having anything of it.
Mhm.
But you're right. It gave him thought that he could control. um the impression I got from the film was that you get the idea that Jupe thought he could control aliens, like, because of his incident with Gordy, where Gordy was
Mhm.
going to fist bump him, and Gordy killed everyone else. And then, and he has no problems with letting you know about it for a small fee. And then he got the horse, and then, yeah, he thought that he could control the horse, and he thought he could control the alien, which,
Mhm.
you know, was misplaced. And I think that's part of the whole Gordy scene, was one, showing the different behaviors, because the behavior comes up a lot with alien animals.
Oh yes.
Animal behavior is very is the underlying theme with this film. So we get to see the different aspects of how the different animals had interact with humans, and why they do what they do. Now, we didn't have any horses kill, but we did have a horse attack.
Mm-hmm.
at the very beginning, you did have a horse attack. You kicked the talent. That's what actually made them lose the lose their job. Um, and so then, so you do have these alien behaviors, these animal behaviors. Um, and I think it's also to compare with the alien to show its behavior, that it's acting as an animal. It's not being necessarily um, aggressive just to be aggressive. It's just kind of its nature, you know.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't have any. It doesn't seem to have any other nefarious motivations outside of, this eat. This is my territory, and I need to
I
eat.
know, yeah. And just like any other predator,
Right.
this
Hmm.
is my territory, and I'm just going to do what I want to do when I get hungry. And obviously, I've just lost my train of thought. Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, because somebody said that another thing that Jordan Peele put in there was people who exploit their trauma for profit.
Hmm. Yep.
And I
Yep.
think that's what Jupe was doing. He was obviously he was taking his trauma and trying to exploit it for
Oh yeah.
profit. Because we've seen it happen before with other people. They whatever bad experience they have, next thing you know, they're doing interviews and making all of a sudden making money on the side, and next they exploit it for profit. Because I think that was another aspect that Jordan Peele put in this film.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, not not all trauma, but even just bad things that happen in the public, people exploiting what has happened to them in the public. Sex tape, Kim. No, um, but other people as well. Yeah, they, exploiting the tragedy. Either people involved exploiting the tragedy, or just someone exploiting a tragedy. And you definitely get that here. He's like, oh, hey, look, there's the actual shoe, of his, yeah. And then well, even more exploitive is he has the one young girl who was on set who got mutilated by the monkey, but still
Mm,
lived.
yeah.
He has her at his, you know, he and the girls that were kidnapped, yeah, and held captive for 10. Yeah, exactly.
Hmm.
That's a prime example in real world. But here, he's about to show off how he can control the alien and surprise, and so he invites his co-star who suffered the tragedy and got horribly, disfigured and such, and he brings her and puts her front and center.
Hmm.
And it wasn't because he was being a nice guy. He
Hmm.
was doing it because it was another exploitation thing. It was the gimmick, because he was all about the gimmick. Um, and it came around to bite him in the ass. So one of the things I love Jordan Peele did too, the sound design in this film is friggin' phenomenal.
Oh yes.
Or the lack of sound. He plays with dead silence so well in this
Hmm.
film. When the alien ship comes around and everything just, there's no hum or nothing. It's just dead silent. But another thing that he did was, the alien takes a while to digest people.
Oh yes. Hmm.
So for a while, we get the alien showing up, and just as it flies overhead or whatnot, you can hear the people still screaming
Hmm.
inside the alien ship, the alien, as it flies by. And I loved that. It was like a Jaws thing, you
Hmm.
know. Um, and there
Yeah.
are a
And
couple other similarities for the alien to Jaws, I think, as well. Later on, when they get to the inflatable floaty guys,
hmm.
that much felt a lot like Jaws too, with the barrels, to where you
Hmm.
didn't see the shark, but you saw the
The
barrels
barrels come
first.
up. Hmm.
And then here you had the floaty guys who would stop floating because of the electricity would stop.
Hmm.
And so it was kind of a same thing. So I think he was playing a bit with Jaws there too.
And yeah, because I think one of the most turning points in the film is when I think when OJ realizes, wait a minute, this is not just a alien ship. This is an
Mm-hmm.
actual predator, an alien predator in the form of a ship,
Right.
and that's when we really get to see. Unfortunately, when it's hovering above the house, and it just is letting blood all over. One of the most disgusting scenes in the film.
Well, it ate too much. You eat too much, you're going to throw up. And here he just decides to do it over the house. Uh,
Oh yeah, that's actually one of the better scenes in the film because when he's in the when he's in the horse's
Stables.
barn,
Yeah.
the stables,
Yeah.
and the light comes on, and next thing he turns it off. Next, the light comes back on, and he sees his weird shit coming up, and he does a typical black thing. Up, nope, 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 nope. I'm out. But then we find out it's just those bratty ass kids.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
I like that.
it was still a decent scene though.
It was an actual legit. That was one of the scenes that stuck with me. That showed that Peele has a talent to creating a scary scene and then adding the humor a bit,
Mhm.
afterwards. But it was a very effective scene, until he punched the one alien.
Yeah, no,
You're kind of scared as well. You're nervous. It's a tension filled scene, and then he punches the one, and then I love that he
oh
just
no,
like
'cause I was cracking up because it's like I'm like, wait a minute, because you see the thing moving. I'm like, what the hell's that? And
well,
I'm
and they
like, oh
made
man,
made that click noise
and
too.
it made that click noise, and then he hit the kid, and the kids and the kids cried, and then I started cracking up. I said, "Oh, those little damn bratty ass kids of his," but I still love the scene. Yes.
Mhm. And it shows, again, I'll take a scare scene like that over a jump scare.
Hmm.
It's not really a jump scare, but it's a really creepy atmospheric scare that he builds up to it because you just get the head peering around, almost like ET.
Hmm.
People don't realize ET is a scary freaking film if you in parts if you watch it. Watch it right and pay attention. And that's what you had here too. And yeah, it's one of the number of scenes where he actually gets to build some
Yeah,
tension.
Nightmare File says it's almost like the scene from Signs when the alien walked across the alley on the camera until you find out it's the it's the kids. Yep, that's a good one.
Yeah, Signs was great until it wasn't. Um
Yeah, yeah. It
uh,
was a good setup, and then you have the huge letdown. It's like that's it.
it wasn't even the letdown, it was the head scratching moment of wait, Earth is 85, whatever,
Oh yeah,
85%
that
water
too.
or whatever, and just like, huh? Uh, you know, there weren't too many head scratching moments in Nope, though. He
Yeah,
kept
no,
it.
it's like wait a minute, you decide to come to this planet and not knowing that you know over half of the Earth is covered in water.
Yeah, and that this it's like, you don't always have to put a twist in your film, M. Night. You really don't. You don't have to put a twist in every movie. Okay.
Oh man.
Um, you
Anyway,
know, but
after the blood soaked rain, and
oh
poor
yeah.
OJ he has to stay in his van because he can't because he realizes he can't look up because that'll attract the alien. So he
Mhm.
finally decided, you know what, we're out. We can't do anything, but they actually decided to go back.
Yeah. Well, they call it the cinematographer guy played
Mhm.
by Bennett,
Michael
who
Wincott.
Michael Wincott, thank you.
Mhm.
Who was wonderful in The Crow.
Oh yes, he was
I
definitely, yeah, he was
oh
one of the better bad guys I've seen, and especially during that time period.
still even today, his bad guy was just phenomenal, and so it was great to see him on screen. But yeah, so they go back because they still want the shot. What I thought was interesting, and again, it's the subtlety of Daniel's performance, is the change in his character though. Once he discovered and figured out that the alien was an alien and not a ship,
Hmm.
he not only approached it differently, he almost seemed a little less. I mean, he was still nervous to think so, but he seemed a little less nervous because he understood animals. And once
Yes.
he realized this is an animal,
Hmm.
he had a far better context of how to approach this thing and look at it than being some weird ship that had aliens on it. And I loved that about it. Like you said, the figuring out not to look at it, to challenge it. I thought that
Hmm.
was a great little gimmick that he puts together because he's worked with horses and animals. And
Hmm.
I love that change in his character once he realizes it's an alien. It's like now he's still scared, but now he's like, well, if it's an animal,
Mhm.
I know animals.
I know animals, and then I know what we need to do so we can't get the Oprah shot. So they play caution to the wind, and then they bring the cinematographer over. I think his name was Holt.
Yeah,
That's what the
Holtz.
character.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah,
Holt. I actually thought they were saying Holt, but it was Holt.
yeah.
Holt, and oh yeah, one of the other things I liked about in the movie where while she's talking to Angel, and she talks about a time where she thought she's going to train this horse.
Mm-hmm.
I think the
Mm-hmm.
horse was called Angel. And
Yeah.
then when she got of age, her father decided not to let her train the horse. And she was very upset about that. I thought it was a great character building moment, and the reason why she was not at the ranch, or what caused her
Right.
relationship with her father to become estranged, because she wanted to be part of the business too, and for some reason her father decided not to do that.
Yeah, yeah. Each character gets their building moment, and that's one for her. And it also explains her motivations for being in the city, just kind of the way she was too. Trying to be very out front and prove herself constantly. Um, you know, and I don't think he had enough clues to figure out it wasn't a ship.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I don't know. Maybe I mean, he's worked a lot with horses. I think it was enough.
Mm-hmm.
Again, we're talking to about an alien film, and Peele did not give us a huge amount of exposition. Even when we did get some exposition, like about aliens, it's while something was going on, while the tech guy was setting up the camera. He said, well, it's going to be here for one of three things.
Mm-hmm.
It was it the one of them was it wants to be friends, the other one is that it crashed here and it's stranded, or the third is it wants to destroy the entire world. You
Yeah.
know, but even then, talking about they were doing something. At least it wasn't just them sitting at a table and dumping a lot of dialogue. So on one hand, I do get to see what Nightmare Files is talking about, that there weren't maybe enough clues, but I chalked it up a bit to also his experience, to maybe he had the intuition
Mm-hmm.
for it, or last ditch effort too, like, well, I can't do anything else, so I'll just do this and it works. And then he's like, oh, hey, you know,
Yeah, and I like their strategy because it does
hmm
make sense, as knowing how to track the alien. Even though it was hiding in between the clouds, which I thought was very clever.
the
To
cloud,
hide
yeah.
just hide in plain sight, just like any other predator does. They typically hide in plain sight. Most lions, when they're about to hunt, they actually sit down on all fours within the brown grass, so you can't see them. So by the time you don't know that there's something there, they just
hmm
attack you. So that's what the ship was doing. So I like that aspect of it. Hiding in plain sight.
Well, not only that, he using that classic horror tool of taking something common and turning it into something in a horror film that's scary. So then when you see it in real life, it's going to make you just a little bit uneasy,
Hmm.
like Psycho. When it came out, nobody wanted to take showers for a
No.
very, very long time because of it. He got a
Yeah.
note saying that from a guy who said his daughter saw it and she didn't want to take a shower ever again, and it was just a simple shower scene, but still. So here he's using clouds. So now when you look up at clouds, you're going to think of the film. You're going to think of the alien if you've seen the film, and it's a great visual tool, and it's also a great gimmick in this as
I know.
well with
Yeah. I
the
mean, put it this way. Because I saw George, I don't swim in the ocean anymore.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly, right, right, and
Yeah. And especially now, because we've had about at least 5 or 6 shark people get bit by sharks so far this year. And I
yeah.
tell the people, I keep telling you, sharks are real.
Well, and they're getting bigger too. I seen a report that say that we're getting more and more extra large sharks. So yeah, it's just nature getting back at us.
Mhm.
Um, and the alien, I love the alien. I really loved the alien, especially at the end when we get to see it in its full glory.
Mhm.
Oh man, the the cinematography and the shot and the fact
Mhm.
that he was not afraid to go wide um a lot to give you the scope of what this being actually is was surprising in a beautiful way. I love visually.
I
It's
know
like
it was. Actually, I'm like, whoa, this thing is huge. I'm like, wow, I wasn't expecting anything like that. That's why I'm like mesmerized. I'm busy looking at the thing, and I'm not looking. And Kelly's looking at me. It's
Mhm.
like, Lamont, what are you doing? I was like, I'm just in awe right now.
it's an it's the way it was shot and the
Mm,
design of the creature, the whole buildup and everything. When you see it, it is very awe inspiring. This creature who was just a scary disc and now is just this kind of fascinatingly beautiful, creepy thing. Um, and yeah, that Nightmare Files was right. 9/11 effect, constantly looking in the sky at clouds and planes.
mm,
Yeah, nervousness on planes. You know, horror for years has been taking common stuff and making you kind of nervous and scared about things. That's their effectiveness. If done right,
mhm.
it shows you how good the film is. And in this one, I think it was done right. In Heredity, everybody talks about in Heredity about a lot of the stuff near the end. For me, I thought it was effective, just the clicking noise that they used
Oh yeah,
throughout the film.
that thing still nerves me.
Right? Right?
Oh man, it's like That's the one reason why I love Hereditary because it's not the ending or even that. It's just that subtle noise right there. And
Hmm.
when we see Charlie, we just know that something's wrong with her, and
Hmm.
that clucking noise just makes it even intensifies that. And that's the whole thing about that movie. Nightmare Mouse, he actually disagrees with you.
That's fine. Everybody else does too. That's less is more. No, I get it. Yeah, less is more with the shape shifting of the ship. That I get what you're saying too, and usually I'm a big less is more person.
Mhm.
And I think it would have felt either way had we not gotten more. More. You would have kept it less. I think I would have enjoyed it just as much and appreciate it. But I also loved the visual that I mean, watching it on the. I'm glad I saw this on the big screen
Yeah, so did
because
I. Yes.
it was they used the whole screen, they the way they shot it and everything. It was very beautiful and awe-inspiring. No, but I get you. I'm with you on a lot of films. I'm always less is more. Usually with dialogue, I'm like, I don't
Yeah,
need as much explanation with a lot of things.
yeah, because
Um,
as long as you have strong characters and you have a very tight, decent script, you can do less is more. And then if you want to do the reveal,
mhm,
and that makes it even better, as long as, like I said, one of the problems I have with certain movies is like you can do less is more, but because the characters are so poorly written or they're not
mhm,
developed correctly, and then when the reveal comes, it's like, okay, that's nice, but it just didn't have the same impact because it's like the movie I just watched today, The Reef,
oh
Stalked.
sure, mhm.
Yeah, yeah, and when you compare that to The Reef was decent because the characters were great, but in The Reef Stalked, the characters were just eh.
um, where I'm at with is I was happy we didn't get like some kind of historical book pulled out of explanation that this thing's been around for a while or whatever. The whole origin of this alien or its motivation were all put together and stipulation. We never have an
Mm,
actual origin story with this creature, and I love that. I think that that's a crutch that has been thrown out for a number of years with films, is that they feel the need to give an origin for something rather than just having it play with your imagination and figure out why this is here. Uh, and yeah, I get that completely. That for the
mhm.
horror effect, and it was lost at the ending. Yeah, it is definitely a shift for showing such a beautiful creature.
Hmm.
that you weren't really scared of it. I loved it. I'm like, eat me. Okay, go for it. I don't care. You're
Yeah,
freaking gorgeous.
yeah, because that's
Oh
one of the
man.
things I said in my reviews is like you don't get a lot of horror in this particular film other than the scene with
Hmm.
Gordy, right around the second act of the film. But I think Jordan Peele was going more of the sci-fi thriller aspect
Yeah.
of this story as opposed to straight out horror.
Oh yeah, no, this is more of your more classic sci-fi horror films. Um it's it's yeah, I mean, I mean, go for it. That's fine. Digest me. That's fine. You're gorgeous. I think that's what he was going for as well, is where some of those, I mean, they definitely aren't scary now, but there's some films that are atmospheric. They've got really creepy, visuals in that. At the end of the day, though, they might not be the most scariest film, but still effective, I think.
Hmm.
And yeah, but it all depends on what you're looking for. I'm a big, huge sci-fi nut, so when this thing unfurled into this just huge angel-like creature, and it had the two mouths, and then they played at it to where Kiki and where and OJ were the
Hmm.
two, they kept getting its attention back and forth, and the mouth kept moving back for. I loved that scene. I thought that scene was fun too.
I know, yeah.
But again, getting back to just where I was, my point was that I like films, especially horror films, where we don't necessarily get an origin story, some exposition or something that says, well, this has been here for millions of years and it's probably came from. I don't care. Don't tell me. That keeps the horror. It keeps a little bit more horror to figure out,
Uh,
because at the end of this, I'm like, okay, well, they blew that up. Now, are there other aliens? Why was it here? Where did it come from? Did it actually come from Earth or space? And
mhm.
all of that unknown helps keep that thing at least a little bit unnerving.
uh,
Even as visually beautiful as it might have been, it's still unnerving. You're like, okay, where, what's this gonna
that
do?
that's just like with the aliens from Quiet Place.
Mm-hmm.
We don't know where they came from or how they got to Earth. We know they just came here, and
Right.
now they've wrecked everything with society. And it's also with me when it comes to Michael Myers, the Thorn trilogy. When it comes to the Return of Michael Myers,
Mm-hmm.
the Revenge of Michael Myers, and the Curse of Michael Myers. I don't necessarily. I know some people like the Thorn trilogy. I don't like it because it takes away the mystique of Michael Myers himself. Michael Myers, unlike with Jason and Freddy, to me he's just a pure evil man who
Mm-hmm.
really didn't have any other motivation other than just to kill his sister, and that's it. But
Well,
but
and
people.
and and now take advantage of the AARP discount. So anyway.
uh, but the shape of it just blew me away for some. But the movie was definitely good.
Mhm.
Obviously, we finally get, Kiki was able to get the money shot in the film.
I
Very,
loved I loved that how they worked that in there. That was great.
and because she sends the huge balloon out there, and it's way up in the sky, and she's putting all these tokens in, trying to get there, and finally got the money shot. And of course, she was concerned because she thought maybe OJ was dead, but then we see him out. Nice hero shot at the end with him on the horse right there. I thought it was a decent way to end the film.
Oh yeah, yeah. There's a little touch of western, which now I want to see Jordan Peele do a horror western. I'd love to see
He
Jordan
might.
Peele. I'd
He,
love.
he, he might because we have. I mean, I think the last time we got anything good, well, I don't think it was called a horror because it was Side Cowboy and the Aliens, but that was okay.
The Burrowers, the Burrowers. I love period horror
Hmm.
personally. I think we need more period horror films. Just because it's always it adds a different level when you can't quite when you're not very familiar with the surroundings or whatnot, you
Hmm.
know. And I enjoy that quite a bit. And so like the Burrowers, I love the Burrowers. Tomahawk, a Bone Tomahawk. Oh
Oh,
my god, Bone.
yeah. Oh, yeah. That was yeah. That
you
was
know,
decent.
I would love to see Jordan Peele take on a period horror film.
Hmm.
Um, you know,
Yeah, but
and,
we are going to get that when Prey comes out next week.
we are, and
Mm,
I'm looking forward to Prey. I'm looking
mm,
forward to Prey. I know there's some people were already hating it or whatnot, or hating on it. I'm like, that's the internet. I'm interested in Prey. I always thought the story of uh, uh, I always thought the story of them would of the Predator would be interesting to go look in the past versus the future,
mm,
and see how people handled it then. So,
mhm.
what if the alien was shaped like it was earlier in the movie when Kiki got the money shot? I feel it would. Yeah, I get that. Yeah,
I get it.
it would have been probably scarier sooner. Also, I think it may not have had, for me personally, I don't think it would have had the visual impact if it was like that early. But yeah, I do get it. Yeah, it would have been definitely scary seeing this thing hovering over the desert. But then I think when you do that, you end up adding scope to people involved, and suddenly you have Independence Day where you have the military. I mean, they touch on that here, but they're still out in the middle of nowhere. And that was a bit one of the head scratcher things was when this thing unfurls or whatnot. I'm like, she gets the buddy shot. You're telling me the news crew didn't see this in the
I know
air at
that's the
the
only thing
time,
that bothered me.
right?
It's like, wait a minute, this thing is huge.
What?
Where's all the? Because I think since it's organic, so
Mhm.
it doesn't appear on radar. So
Right,
that's
right,
one of the things that got to me. So it's organic, so it doesn't appear on radar. But there has to be somebody else that saw it.
right.
Something that large, could not be unseen other than the area. But then again, if it was that so isolated, then I can
Mhm.
understand. And maybe not only, maybe they were only two areas that had any type of population in that area, and there was nothing else out there. Then I can get that.
He definitely established isolation quite a bit in the first act, which helps,
Mm.
try to convince you that hey, maybe this wouldn't show up on the radar of people. Remaking a movie like Pulse or The Gate. Oh man, I'd love to see Peele take on The Gate. Oh, now you're just teasing me, Nightmare, because I would love to see Jordan Peele's take on The Gate. That would be great. Oh man.
Mm.
I'd be first in line for that. I think he could do that some justice. And Nightmare or even Serpent in the Rainbow. Oh yeah,
Oh yeah, we
and,
definitely need a remake of the Serpent and the Rainbow.
that film was effective on its own, but in the hands of Peele, I think he could really add another level to it.
Hmm.
Definitely. And that's the thing in general. That's what I wish if you're gonna do remakes do that. Like they're redoing Toxic Avenger. I'm for them taking these good yet kind of obscure horror films that could have been even better had they had the budget or the power behind them, and doing them as you know uh doing them as remakes versus remaking the established IPs. you know
Hmm.
I'm all for that. So with those three movies, what social message would he cover? Um, well, Serpent and the Rainbow. I mean, you wouldn't have to change too much because it addressed a number of social issues and such with
Hmm.
it. Um, you know,
I would say the misnomers about the voodoo religion.
yeah,
You
yep.
can you can tackle on that. I think that's one of
Mhm.
the aspects of that one. As far as Pulse in '87, the Gate, I think maybe Pulse is. Are you talking? I'm assuming you're referring to the Japanese version, not the American version. Because I think in both those movies it was about our reliance on electronic devices,
Mhm.
and I think that's when I think something he might, especially if depending upon how he decides to, if he keeps it in today's society, in today's,
Right.
if you put it in modern
Mhm.
times, or he goes back into '88, and I don't know what type of mess he would do with the Gate, because
Uh,
the Gate is kind of just, it was just a typical horror movie. Maybe Satanic Panic, but you
you
could go
you
that.
you could maybe go that route.
Hmm.
People's beliefs. maybe, or just truth in, truth, what is true and whatnot. You could play an angle like that of nobody believing, say, the kids, that there's this, there's this gate. You could do it that angle possibly.
Mm.
You know, uh, uh oh yeah,
Oh yes.
uh, yeah, definitely. Actually, we're going to talk about that next month on our podcast, The People Under the Stairs. Great film, and that'd be right up Peele's alley.
Oh
He
yeah.
could
He
he
could
could do
definitely
a
do. He could
lot.
do a whole lot with the people on the stairs.
There's a lot that he could expand upon and do better. No, no slight on Wes at all. It's one of his better films, but
Hmm.
I Peele, I think, would definitely give it a very interesting spin and message. And yeah, I'd be down. That's a remake I'd be for. If Jordan Peele did a remake of The People Under the Stairs, yeah, okay, sign me up. I'm in.
Yeah. Yeah. Because I
Um,
think, well, because you can do a lot with that. Um, I had a train of thought. No, I lost it again.
oh,
Yeah, so like I said, overall, yeah, very decent film. Not as not as good as Us or Get Out, but definitely decent horror film. Obviously, like I said before, it'll definitely, depending upon how the rest of the year plays out, because like we still got Prey coming up, we still have Halloween ends that's coming out this year, and a few more other horror movies that are coming out for the end of the year. But I have a good feeling that this will probably be on my top 10 horror best horror films of the year.
Oh, absolutely, for me too. It'll be interesting to see how bodies plays out
Mm.
coming up. If that one hits me decent, then actually uh, uh, A12 will have really run the table for me this year as far as the films they've released, because I've enjoyed all their stuff that they've put out to theater this year. And yeah, Nope is definitely going to be on my top 10 for sure.
Hmm.
um you know uh Nope, and then I personally liked Men quite a bit. I know it was a very
I,
divisive
I
film,
I have
but
I have not seen Men yet, although I've heard a lot of people have said it was good.
it's good. It's a different film.
Mm.
It's definitely got a wild last act, which was surprising in a most fantastic way for a horror film to go fan to go. I'm seeing this on the big screen on a wide release film right now. I never expected to see what I'm seeing. Uh, and yeah, I mean, but in general, outside of a couple of little flops, horror films have been strong this year.
I don't know. Yeah.
Um,
Did you see you saw X? Correct.
oh yeah,
X.
I loved X. There's people
Yeah.
that hate X and people that love X, and I'm looking forward to Pearl. I so
Oh
want
yeah, definitely. I did my
man.
trailer actually before, and you ooh, man, because one of my friends he said that he did not really want to get an origin about Pearl, and I gotta understand his take because he really thought that seeing her and that in that
Mhm.
movie that was enough. We don't need an origin story. But I think what Ty West did was when he probably wrote the character, he felt as though I said, you know what, I can do something even better. I can go on ahead and write her when she began, and then decide, you know what, I'm gonna fill two film. I'm gonna fill two, make two
I
movies.
That story makes that film almost worth going to go see, just because he shot the Pearls film secretly while he was shooting X. I think
Uh-huh.
that's just a wonderful. And yeah, I don't need an origin story of Pearl, but just seeing from the trailer, that was one of the best end credit sequences to get a trailer for that,
I know,
because it
yeah.
made you wonder if that was just a fake trailer or if it was going to be a real film. And then you find out it's going to be a real
Yeah,
film, and you're
film.
like,
Yeah,
oh,
Gunfire was one of those fake trailers that Robert Rodriguez
yeah,
used to do all the time, and then no, no,
Thanksgiving. Yeah.
no, thanks. It's like, no, this is a real film. Like, oh shit. Oh, man. Yeah, yeah, I can't say though because she's crazy in that film, and just to see, oh no, how did she become this way? Yeah, this
Hmm.
definitely going to be good when Pearl comes out. We have the Chucky season 2 that's coming out, and it's
I
coming
gotta
in.
see season one yet. I heard good things about Chucky.
Yeah, yeah, all the not my Chucky fans were very happy about seeing
See,
Chucky on the small screen because I think one of the best thing it does because it does stick with the continuity of
hmm
the Curse of Chucky. when that ended in its
See, and I
um
didn't quite care for Curse of Chucky. I know
neither did
some
I.
people that enjoyed it. You know, I had no problem. In all honesty, I had far less problems with the reboot, whatever they did for Child's Play. I had far less problems than I thought I was going to have with it when I watched it because it was a somewhat modern equivalent of the original. You know, that's one thing I think we as horror fans or older folks, I can say that I can put myself in that category. Forget is that horror is really made for the young. You know, it always intended for the teenager and the 20 something type audience. And what was effective for us back in the 80s and 70s is not effective today. They kind of chuckle at it. So you get, you know, the new Chucky, it kind of makes sense the approach they took, and I still enjoyed it. It was a fun
Oh
film,
yeah,
you know.
I really like the fact that they did not try to rehash
Right.
what
Hmm.
what you would call him, Don Mancini did when Chucky first came out. They put their own stamp on it, and I had
Right.
no problem with it because it sort of plays with modern times where you almost have all these devices being controlled
Right.
by whether it's Alexa or the other one. I can't remember the other ones. Oh,
Yeah,
Siri.
Siri.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Alexa or Siri.
it's an updated version of the same film, you know,
Mhm.
and I don't mind that, especially if it's if entertaining, and that one definitely was. So, you know, that's what I think they need to do if they're going to do these remakes and reboots and such is give them the modern spin if you're going to do it, you know. I'm not going to talk about the Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie on Netflix. We're not going to talk about that because because I have thoughts on that I'm sure many people will disagree with. But let's just say again, if you're going to do a reboot or something, do something, give it a fresh facelift, give it something of a modern flair for the modern audiences. Because, my kids are. My son has grown into being a horror film fan, and the
Mhm.
things that I thought were kind of creepy and scary, he finds effective, but at the same time, he kind of chuckles at. You know,
Mhm.
it's like, yeah, no, I won't.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
All right. So we
well,
basically went on ahead and covered everything about Nope.
yeah, I think we did. You know, it's an effective horror film, one of the better modern horror films to come out recently. Again, Jordan Peele proving he is a fan and has some serious talent behind the screen, and he gets talent in front of the screen.
Mhm.
And I'm hoping he keeps, if he decides to do more horror, do more stuff like the first three films that he's come out of the gate with. You know,
Mhm.
give me more of those type of horror films where they have a feel of a classic horror film, but at the same time, they're still his.
Mhm.
There's still a fun and interesting story, a nice spin on things, you
Okay.
know. Um, and answer Garrett Faber's question, favorite horror films. That's a long list, but
Yeah.
my go to always is if you're talking about sheer pure entertainment schlock. One of my all-time favorites is Maximum Overdrive. Fueled by cocaine and backed by an AC/DC soundtrack. Yeah, Stephen King may not remember that film, but I remember that film quite a bit.
Yeah, I have
Otherwise,
so many favorite
oh,
horror films. It depends, whether it's The Exorcist, Friday the 13th, Insidious, The Conjuring, The Witch, Hereditary. Take your pick.
yeah, I will say, as a horror fan, I thought things were petering out for a while, but in the last say 8 to 10 years, um, 8 to 10 years, I think we've seen a great resurgence of horror, and it's wonderful to see as a horror fan to see nearly as many horror movies hit the big screen or more
Mhm.
as you get comic book films. That's what I'm loving right now is you're seeing almost as many wide release horror films as you are comic book movies. And as a geek, that's just a beautiful thing.
Yeah, no.
Oh man, if I were going to make a movie, what would I name it?
When I name it, hey,
Hmm.
if I'll tell you one thing, if I were to make a movie, I'd remake the car.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what if I'm going to make a movie, I'm going to remake the car because if there's any movie that deserves a remake, it's the car.
Yeah, yeah. I'd watch that if you made one. I'd watch it. Lamont.
Hmm.
I'd definitely watch a film you want. I don't know. I guess it would depend on the story. There's you could always do Night of the Living, Undead Hookers from Beyond the Grave, Part 5, The Curse of Satan in the swamps of Louisiana. I don't know.
All right,
No
now before
remakes. Oh,
no
okay.
remakes, yeah. Sorry, I really it's kind of difficult to put me on the spot. I don't know what type of a horror movie I would make. Um,
I've
it
actually got
depends.
a yeah. I've got a script for about 3 different short films that are horror
Mm.
films.
If I were to create a horror movie, if you want me to do something original and not a remake, um, oh boy.
Wow, what would that be? That'd be about a possessed butt plug that
All right.
liquefies those from the inside. I don't know.
All right, before we go on ahead and sign off, you know what we like to do. What's coming up on the spoil the spoiler room.
Oh, I got we just finished our killer concert month where we did 4 rock and roll horror films. We covered Rock and Roll Nightmare, Black Roses, Hard Rock Zombies, and we also did Trick or Treat. And this month coming up, we've got what's called The Family That Slays Together.
Ooh.
So we are covering parents, people under the stairs, mom and dad, rabid grannies, and head of the family. Yes, the full moon film. Yeah, head of the family. So we got some wild stuff coming up there. I
Mhm.
got reviews all the time on the final cut. I'm just finishing up an interview. I got to edit and get it out tonight of the guys who were behind High on the Hog with Sid Haig that came out in
Mhm.
2019. So yeah, a lot of stuff coming up. But after you're done watching all the wonderful stuff Lamont does, which it's an honor, sir, to always be on your show. Thank you very much
Yeah,
for
always
having me
nice to
on.
have you. I'm
Uh,
trying to see if we can do this maybe on a monthly basis, but it
I'd be
depends
down.
upon our
Yeah.
our schedules.
Schedules, yeah. I'd be down for it. If you want to, next time we can cover zombie ass in the toilet of the dead. Um, it's an actual film, folks. It's an actual film.
Hey, look, if you could recreate a movie called the Incredible Bulk, you can,
You can make anything.
you
You
can
can
make
make
anything.
anything. That's right. That's right.
Okay. Yeah. So, like I said, I just finished writing my review of the Reef Stalk, so I'll have that up this weekend. What I'm going to be doing next month, I'm going to start doing something that I really haven't done in a while, and that's try to do a monthly series. And I keep telling people all the time, I'm a child of the 70s. I grew up in the 70s. So, what I'm going to do starting next month, I'm going to be reviewing horror movies from the 70s. And I believe
Oh,
my first horror film will be Woolard.
oh, nice, nice.
Hmm.
Definitely got to tune in for that. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
70's got some really strange horror films.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Definitely.
Really, really interesting ones.
So, once again, Mark,
Uh,
I thank you very much for coming along on the channel. We
Thank
do a
you.
very good job again of talking about movies, so hopefully we'll get this done next month. Next month,
Be
and
down.
perhaps we'll talk about something else, another horror. Probably we'll talk about maybe Prey.
Yeah,
Prey was
yeah,
coming up.
I'd be down for talking a modern horror
And
film.
I see if I can get my my good friend Marty, who is a huge from the Trash Picture Show. He's a huge Predator fan.
Oh, okay.
See, we'll get him on. So I'll see if we can get that worked out.
Dylan, you son of a bitch.
Get to the chopper.
Get to the chopper. Get to the chopper now. Quick story. My kids had not watched Predator for a long time because my oldest was not into horror films. And then we finally watched it. It was like, this is where so many memes came from. So many early memes came from this film. I'm like, oh yeah, it's a beautiful movie. That first Predator, man, that just
Uh,
I enjoyed Predator 2 as well, but
well, yes,
um,
yes. So, people in the chat room, thank you very much for stopping by. Once again, thank Mark for joining us on the channel. And of course, as always, once again, my name is Lamont Smith, better known as the Horror Miser Monty G. And always remember that horror rules. And
rules.
I'll see you guys later. Please stay safe out there, and thanks for joining us.